Okay, so I found this Hysteria channel. Apparently these women are talking about problems facing men. So, yeah, this will be good.
Conversation is not going to pass the Bechdel test because we are, no, not today, but we do have to do our annual check in about what's going on with the men. Because there are people that are worried, and some of them are worried about the wrong things and have some pretty bad ideas for how to fix it. But here to talk about those bad ideas with us are our two panelists. You might know our first panelist from her book, You Sound Like a White Girl, but she's about to be so much more than a writer and speaker and activist. It's Julissa Arce, and she's got some news for you.
Hi, I actually have some new news today. I am not trying to get you to buy my book, or maybe I still am.
What?
But besides buy my book, I am just really excited to share that I'm pregnant, and
Yay!
yeah, I'm expecting my first baby, and it's a girl, so more greatness into the world.
Oh,
So wait, if a girl brings more greatness into the world, then what if it was a boy? Just curious. Now on to the main article, or their main point, I guess.
many to be girly. Let's talk about men and what's wrong with them. And what's wrong with the way that we're talking about what's wrong with men. So there's an article that came out in the New Yorker this week, and it's a review of a book by Richard V. Reeves, who is a British American academic who studies inequality and social mobility. He wrote a book called Of Boys and Men: Why the Modern Male is Struggling, Why It Matters, and what to do about it. So I'm going to read a little excerpt from this review from The New Yorker. Men now confront the prospect of cultural redundancy, Reeves writes. He sees telltale signs in the way that boys are floundering at school, and men are leaving work and failing to perform their paternal obligations.
Alright, enough of her for the time being. The author of this book says the hardest hit groups are black men whose life prospects have been decimated by decades of mass incarceration, and on men without college degrees whose wages have fallen in real terms, whose life expectancies have dropped markedly, and whose families are fracturing at an astonishing rate. Things have become so bad so quickly that emergency action is needed. Now back to the so-called panel.
Love to hear your thoughts on this article and the subject matter that the book takes on. What do you think of that passage?
I think that it really illustrates the way that Americans think about many of the problems that plague our country, like always trying to find a scapegoat instead of trying to find real solutions for very real problems. Like all of the things that you mentioned are real problems. Mass incarceration is a problem. The fact that, more men are dying by suicide than any other time in history is a problem. The fact that, men or boys are dropping out of high school and dropping out of college at really high alarming rates is a problem. Like all of those things are real problems, but the source of that problem is not the success that women are having. The source of that problem is not little girls, and the solutions to those problems are not going to be found in women achieving less. Right. So like when I hear the biggest, the people that it's affecting the most is black men, it so reminds me of when conservatives talk about immigration, right? And they say black Americans are the ones hardest hit by illegal aliens taking their jobs. And it's like, no, actually undocumented people are not to blame for white people losing their jobs. Right. And so I think that my biggest takeaway with this article is just that we are trying to find a scapegoat and trying to find solutions where there are none to be found.
Alright, so first off, this woman says illegal aliens aren't the source of the problem. Well, they kinda are. If you're a teenager, whether you're white, black, or Asian, and you just enter the job market, you start at the entry-level jobs, like a burger flipper or something. Well, illegal aliens will take those jobs, so you're fooked. And as for immigrants who come into the country legally, again, if they're not like a doctor or engineer and they have to start at the entry level jobs, i.e., burger flippers or grocery store employees or whatever, again, illegal aliens will take those jobs. So, yeah, illegal aliens do affect men. And she goes on to call them undocumented immigrants. No, they're illegal aliens or intruders. And then she talks about how the success of women doesn't affect men. Well, technically, if women didn't have those jobs, then men would have those jobs. So, it kind of does. So, in summary, after I listened to this woman talk, I skimmed over the other three and they're pretty much the same. Things that were brought up, well, white supremacy, free healthcare, men are upset that women are succeeding. In other words, they're feminists. As soon as this woman said, "It's a girl, more greatness into the world," I knew immediately it's just going to be a bunch of feminists. Anyway, that's it for my little ramble. I'll post the link to the video in the description if you want to watch 33 minutes of four feminists going back and forth. Have at it. Well, take care.